Hey everyone, we are live with our last session of the day for our AppSmash Festival. And I know a lot of you have been in the waiting room for almost the whole hour, waiting to hear from our Adobe friends. I'm Tisha from Wakelet, and I am here with my Adobe friends. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you.
Hi everyone. Should have coordinated. I'll leave you for last because you're the special one. I'm Jenna Katen. I work on Adobe Express as a product manager, so helping lead integration. So I'm going to be here talking to you a little bit about what's exciting about the partnership between Wakelet and Adobe and what's coming up.
Hey everybody, it's so nice to be here. I see so many of our community. Hi Jessica, hi guys. I am on the education and community team, and I'm so excited to be here with you as well with Wakelet, and super thrilled because we have so much to share.
We do. Thank you both for joining us. I know, oh, see, there's Lydia. I knew there was going to be somebody that I saw. We have a ton of community members that overlap. And Jess and I were saying earlier on the flip session that one of our favorite things about these webinars is that our educators and our community members take time out to just come together again. And I think this is a really, really great way to do that. And this has been a really fun day, and we have more fun tomorrow. But I know you're all excited to hear more about how to use Adobe for creation and curation in the classroom. But we have a couple of things that we're going to share with you. So I'm actually going to turn it over to my Adobe friends, and then we're going to get into some examples, and we will give you some questions, and we'll have some discussion in the chat. But definitely let us know where you're from. Let us know if you are new to Adobe or if you're new to Wakelet. And if you have any questions during the presentation, we all have, I think we do. I don't know if you guys are like me and Jess, but we have multiple devices with the YouTube chat open so that we can answer all of your questions. And we have some help and moderation in the chat as well from the Wakelet team. So we're here to support you. We want you to sit back, relax, and really just enjoy this time together. So Jenna?
Yeah, I will take it away. People are from all over. This is amazing seeing the chat come up. I will say shout out to the person from Florida. Both Tanya and I are from and in Florida now. So hopefully you are safe from the hurricane. We were telling Tisha earlier, as long as we have power, we will be on this webinar. We are so pumped to be here. I'm going to give a little bit of history about what's going on with Adobe Express and the relationship we have with Wakelet, which we, absolutely cherish. Adobe Express has been undergoing some really exciting changes in the past month or so. If you are an Express user, you know what I'm talking about. We did a big replatforming, which unlocked tons of really, really cool, really expressive, really important features for our users. So video editing, really online web-based video editing is now possible. Animate from audio, so make your own character and animate them and bring them into your creations. Tanya is going to touch on these things, so I won't steal all her thunder. I say this to highlight the idea that through this replatforming, we undertook a lot of work, and our integration that we have with Wakelet, which I'm going to show you what it does or what it has done historically, is in progress right now. So there's a brief hiatus where the Adobe Express button will tell you today, like, hang tight, we're working on this. And our developers are working, as I'm talking to you, on getting the integration back up and running using the new technology that we've released, which is going to be great. And it's going to unlock, you to bring in all these new creations into the platform. I'm just going to highlight what this integration can do and how it really helps you seamlessly bring these really important creation tools together so that you can not only create, but then showcase the amazing work in a way that's really meaningful. So let me just bring up a video. Perfect. And Amy, if you can just play the video. And while it's getting started, I hope this is going to work. This is going to take you through an integration where within Wakelet, oh, I can't play from here. Oh, I play. Sorry. I play. Here we go. Good point, Amy. Okay. Here we're looking at Wakelet. Oh my gosh, it's going so quickly. Let me slow it down. Here you have Adobe Express at the bottom. It's really easy. You get to it from within your collection. You open it up. Here in this screen, it pops up all of the projects that you've created. So anything that you've made in Adobe Express, you can easily just attach here. So you have full access to the files. And when you attach it, it embeds super seamlessly so everything can play in line. So here we have a video, you can play the full video. I just mentioned that we just built a lot of more robust video functionality. So here, like when this comes up and running, which is within a matter of weeks, we're working on this right now, as I said, you'll be able to get the full functionality here of everything embedding super seamlessly, super smoothly, and be able to showcase it really, really easily. And so this is coming. And so if you've been missing it, I'm sorry. We didn't want to give it a hiatus at all, but rest assured that we're working on it really hard. And I'll toss it over to Tanya to talk about what this unlocks more broadly for us, and what's going to be exciting as it comes. And so I'll toss it over to her to talk more about that.
Well, first of all, this has been such a journey, and we're so excited about all of the new updates. And of course, I am a huge fan of Wakelet. I have been for so long, and we use it ourselves when we give workshops, or we always promote it when we work with schools, because it's like peanut butter and jelly. Like the way we work together is perfect, because we are not a curation tool, we are a creation tool. And we are always looking for ways that our students can share their learning and be able to have a place to do that. But before I get into some really practical ideas of ways that we work together like peanut butter and jelly, I want to share some of the updates that Jenna was just talking about, because for some of you who love us, maybe you haven't seen some of the new capabilities. So I'm going to just share my screen. So this is welcome to the new Adobe Express. I know that that's not necessarily what it's called, but that's what it feels like, because there's so much new goodness to this. And so as Jenna mentioned, it's basically on a new engine. It's like a brand new engine. So we're super thrilled, because it is so powerful. So first things first, and I won't get into all of it, I'm just going to show you two things. The first one is our all-in-one editor, and it is so incredibly powerful. So I'm just going to grab a template really fast. And like before, you can make graphics really easily, really quickly. You have all the same capabilities that you did before, but now there's something that I can start doing that makes it really exciting. And that is the ability to take what is really static and really turn it into something that's incredibly dynamic. So I can go in and I can start to build layers, and I can start to build a video on the web through this platform. I can go in as well, and I can add video. I can remove the background on a video. So I can turn this into like a green screen if I want to. Like the creative possibilities for students are really endless. And of course, my favorite piece is being able to press record and help students make their thinking visible. And so I can go in and record over anything that I create that's static, and allow for every voice of my learner to be heard, and then edit this really into a complex video if I wanted to. So there's so much possibility for creation that is now available through the all-in-one editor. So I'm going really quickly. I'm not going to get into it with that much detail, but there's one more thing that I also want to show that is really exciting. And of course, now we can collaborate on our creations. So you can work on real-time collaboration, which is so important. So we have the collaboration, the creation. We partner so well with Wakelet for curation. So we're really like excited because this is such a great like 4C piece that we can use this tool for. But this is new. If you're familiar with Animate from Audio, it was in beta last year, and now it's actually a quick action inside of Adobe Express. And this is probably without question one of my favorite tools that is new and available through Adobe Express. It is so much fun. I think I must mention to Jenna like every day, I'm like, I want everything to be a character that I can turn into a character. Like this is so much fun, and our community absolutely loves this. And this is actually this month's challenge. Which I'll share at the end. We have monthly challenges. And so you really can, this is the easiest thing in the world that you can do. I can press record and I can animate my characters. And there's literally like so many characters, and they are so amazing and so creative. And we have creatures, and we have food, and we have animals. So you can really you can really move your character around. You could do so much. You can use different backgrounds. So I can actually go in here and I can even choose like a transparent background, and so I can do all these awesome things. And I'm going to show you something really fast, and then we're going to show you some of the ways that hello. You're not going to hear this because it doesn't work on StreamYard. Unfortunately, it doesn't play back. But that's not Adobe Express. That is a StreamYard issue. But okay, so I'm going to just animate it and you'll see. So it will animate my voice. And what's also really cool about this, Tisha, I don't know if you know this, but there's something called enhanced audio on here. And what enhanced audio will do is the coolest technology like ever, is it will like completely like it'll like take out all the sound from your classroom. So you know when you're recording, and in the past, because I know you're a teacher like me who would do this and have boxes that kids would stick their heads in. Yeah, you don't need to do that anymore with this. So you can click enhance audio and record your voice, and it's AI technology that like takes out it's insane.
Okay, you are making us all so excited over here. I just have to tell you, we haven't even gotten into the meat of the webinar, the heart of the webinar. And I'm like, no, don't stop. Why are you stopping? I don't know if anybody else in the chat feels that way. I'm like, please show us more.
No, I'm telling you, hey, how crazy is that technology? Just that alone, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Okay.
Yes.
Just the fact that I can like record stuff and it works. I did this at APS with like 30 of their coaches, and they all tested me and they all screamed while I was live, and nothing, you couldn't hear anyone screaming. And I was like, oh my God, this really works.
That is a miracle.
Yeah,
that is a true miracle. Yes.
So this, just that alone, I think is just like, so, because really, Tisha, like kids want to create quality work. Like, and when it sounds dumpy,
you're right.
Feel good. Right?
Here's the truth of that. And I think a lot of our teachers will, relate to this, but it doesn't matter how old or young our students are. They are used to that quality on the apps on their phone. And so when they're in the classroom, that was a huge frustration with my students. They would try to go somewhere to record, and a classroom would be walking down the hall, or they would go to the cafeteria and everybody would be eating lunch, and they just could not find a good spot. There was not a good spot in that entire school that would really drown out all of those background noises. So this is incredible.
Yes. And this is with Animate from Audio. It's amazing. So once I'm done recording, I'm going to go ahead and I can open it in the editor. So I showed you the editor before, right? Like just on its own, but now I can pull in my characters. And of course, let me go here. I can, here, this is kind of cute. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to set it as the background. Look at this. He's on the thing. It's amazing. So you can't hear it. And then I can go in, and this is the best part. Oh my God. Okay, so I can go here now, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to say like like, I'm going to add frogs. Let's just go ahead and take a look. So like I can go in here and then look at this. I have photos, I have videos. So here I'm going to grab another video. So I can start to like build out this like super creative story. I can remove the backgrounds now, like I mentioned on a video. So like I can start to layer in here something that's actually super complex. I can play with the animations. So this is like so awesome. Like in my wildest dreams as a kid, I would have killed for this. So yeah, so needless to say, this is like a really exciting, it takes us just a second, but it's a really exciting new addition. And I'm going to go back here. I can grab it, design. There he is. So I have my little frog here. This is actually a video. I can move him to the side. I can go in. I can add little icons or design assets. So everything I need to start building out my like story and then add my layer in audio or have him, I can do. And then Tisha, to make it even better, because I have him transparent, I can actually start to import other characters. So like you download and upload them like once they're in there, but I can start to like bring in other characters into the mix and start to really like have them speak to each other and do kind of cool stuff once you get really creative.
This is so amazing, honestly, and so much fun. I mean, we talked creativity and curation, and storytelling, I think, is one of the best things for students. And a lot of times they do not have the opportunity to tell their stories. But how great to utilize this so they can tell a story. And maybe they're thinking that you're watching their story thinking that there isn't any personal items in there about themselves, but a lot of times they express themselves in that way so they can kind of work things out, emotionally. So I think this is really fun, and I honestly want to start playing around with this immediately.
You should. It's amazing. And like I've seen some really creative teachers like use this for instruction. So like they turn themselves into a character, and then because you can turn your character and make the character transparent behind you, I've seen them using screencasting and they're like going over some of their instructions. And like I'm starting to see so many of these like really creative ways it's being used in the community. So yeah. So, and this is the thing, when I'm done, and this is kind of leading to our next part, right? When I'm done with my students, I want students to get in the habit, and I'm sure you talk about this often, of being able to share their work, right? Several years ago, Holly Clark and I wrote the Google Infused Classroom together. And one of the things that we spoke about was when technology is being used effectively, there's essentially three things that we see happen. One is that it provides every learner in our class with a voice, right? Like it's the great equalizer. So we can hear from every learner. So that's really like powerful. Two, it allows students to make their thinking visible, which is what we're doing here, right? We're providing them with voice and we're helping students press record, make their thinking visible. And three, it allows students to share their work. Right? 1, 2, 3.
And do you think the sharing piece is something that a lot of educators are missing? As an educator myself, I'm not afraid to tell you that it was so difficult for me to get to that sharing piece because there was a level of fear around that, right? The students were fearful of sharing their work with their peers because of that feedback. The parents and the teachers were maybe fearful of sharing with other classrooms or globally. But I will tell you that sharing piece is really what launched my students into that authentic learning, and it made it stick because they were then sharing outwardly to the world. So they had to know the information, right?
Yeah. Not only did they have to know the information, I used to have my students turn in, and we're going to talk about this by like the third part, because we're going to share 3 ideas right now with you guys, right? So 3 ideas of ways that we're really kind of like partnering the concept of like creation and curation, right? So the first one is like just the idea of having students be able to have a gallery of their work, right? Like just being able to like have a place where students can see each other's work. That is so important. Who are you creating for, right? Like ultimately, if you're creating just for a grade, that's not enough. You want to be able to create for an audience and be also proud to share your work, because once it goes out there, you're going to take a lot more pride in the work that you do. And that's the real world. Like Jenna works on the product she's a product manager. Like her whole job is connected to getting feedback from others. Like imagine Jenna, if you like sat around and you were like, I'm not sharing it. No, the whole idea is that like people have to tear your work apart to make
Yeah.
it better, right?
Well, and how useful it is. I mean, for me, then I also think I'm a former teacher too. And I sort of, when you break the wall around sharing for
Yes.
students, how incredible it is for students to see each other's work, especially creative work, for them to get new ideas and think like, wow, how did you do that? I want to be able to do that. And so much of that is not possible without exposure. And and so I think there's like, it is so mutually beneficial, right? You gain so much confidence and clarity as the sharer, and being exposed to your peers' work is huge.
And I say this a lot, schools, and the school I was at was no different. We always want to talk about preparing students for their future. We always want to say that. It's like a tagline, but are we really? Because if we're not allowing them the space to share their work with each other and receive feedback, what are we even doing for them? I mean, I just feel like it's a disservice to them. Like you said, that's Jenna's entire job. And I just can't even imagine my students, and this is true. When I first started doing peer-to-peer feedback, I had some of them, they were in tears. They were sobbing over just a very small critique of their work. And I thought, well, we have a much bigger problem here. So that's really why I started bringing that into the classroom more and more. And I think just little by little, those of you that are watching and you're maybe afraid to do that. Yeah, it will be emotional for some of those students, but it also is going to be so empowering when you get them to a certain point,
Absolutely. Which leads to the second part of one of the, I think, most powerful ways that we can work together, as like the creation and curation tool. We at Adobe, our evangelism team, we do something called the Creativity Institute. And in our Creativity Institute, one of the things that we really focus on, it's kind of the heart and soul of the experience, is the creative process. And that literally, like when you think about it, it's very similar to what Jenna does all day, right? It's design thinking, it's the iterative part, and it's the whole process of like taking feedback and applying that feedback to your work, because that is how you grow as a creator. Like you have, and you have processes that are connected to that. So what we do is we have students, and we teach this, like this is the thing I did as a teacher, is you have students create multiple versions of their work. You have them go in, you teach them essential skills of how to create. And then what we do is we ask them to not just create one version, because we want them to not feel like their work is precious, that they're going to create many versions of that visual or whatever it is that they're creating. So in this case, this is an example of, we have them create a book cover, okay? And then we ask them to create 3 different versions. And then what we do is we have them go in and we ask them to give feedback to each other, right? And so it could be that they're walking in a gallery, they're providing feedback on the Padlet, on the Wakelet, so whatever they're using, they're going in and they're creating that feedback. And then what we ask them to do is to take some time and to go in and to make those changes based on the feedback that they received. So this is so powerful, right? So they're getting feedback from their peers, and then they're applying it, and they're not feeling like their work is super precious. They feel empowered to be able to make those changes, and then to be able to and then they're also able to see that progress as it happens and be able to make those changes visually. So this is a really powerful strategy for having students really develop creative work. So that's the second piece that I wanted to share, right? The first, of course, is the gallery and having them just share. Super kind of low-hanging fruit there, a really quick and easy way of having kids share. And then the second is that process for feedback. And then, of course, we have the third way, and I think, Tisha, you were going to share that, right?
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm going to let you share your screen. I sent you in the private chat the collection, so we can just pull that up really quickly if you have it handy. And then I'll talk through some of the rest of that. But I think all of those ideas that you shared are going to play really nicely with the classrooms and activities portion of Wakelet. And so if you're not familiar with that, we have a section there. And if you scroll down, I believe it's probably middle of the page there. And when you click on it, There it is.
Yes.
So this, I just inserted this GIF here. And if we click on it, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. And remember, you'll get the resources at the end of this session. We'll have a form for you to fill out. So you'll get all of the resources that have been shared today. But essentially what you can do is take both of those ideas in Adobe and you can pull those into Wakelet classrooms and then create activities from those ideas and assign those to your students. And so I really just want to point out that, and there were some questions in the chat, can students, and I don't know this answer, so you let me know, but can students collaborate? I think that was the question. Can students collaborate on iPads? Let me see if I can find that question because I wanted you guys to answer that. Now I can't find it for sure, but there were a couple of questions in the chat. So Jenna, maybe if you can see the chat, you can go back up and find that. We'll address it before the webinar is over. But what I want to say here is one of the questions I was going to have for you is how would you tell our viewers that they can provide constructive feedback on those creativity pieces, those projects? Like, what are the tips that you have when you are showcasing your two ideas? Because my idea would be, let's put it into a Wakelet classroom with activities. So then I can see the process and it kind of helps me as the educator navigate that a little better. But I think one of the issues, and I remember as a digital learning coach, a lot of the creativity projects, a lot of the project-based learning activities that we would do, my teachers would say, well, how do I possibly give constructive feedback on creativity projects? What is your advice to that?
Well, I mean, it comes back to the creative process, right? It's setting up a checklist and making feedback intentional. So the way that we frame it is actually very specific. We have low hanging, like we very quickly go over exemplars. And we use a rubric. We go through the expectations with exemplars. We have the students identify the expectation, the checklist of what is expected, and be able to look at several examples ahead of time so that they can identify what we're looking for. And then we have them practice through that creative process. So they go in, they use the tool, we high level show maybe one or two features in the tool. We don't bombard them with too many tool pieces. And then we ask them to go in and we give them time to develop out their ideas. And usually we'll give them about 10 minutes for each example that they create. And we don't want them to get so detail oriented in the first go, so that way they're focusing on just kind of getting the content and the pieces that have to get out on their graphic or whatever they're making. And then we have them make several versions of whatever it is that they're creating so that they have a few that they're looking at. And then we stop them and we ask them to work with 3 other people around them to get feedback from at least 3 people. So they do that, they get feedback from 3 people, it's constructive, and it's also very targeted. So we ask them to be really specific with their feedback. Don't just say, I like it. We model how to give feedback. You have to model that with students. And then they, that feedback can be oral, or it could be that they're going in virtually and then maybe they're doing it inside of the Wakelet, and they can do it that way. Or maybe they're looking at each other and they're just telling it to each other, right? Sure. And then what they do is they go back and then they iterate on one of the examples and they improve. So
I think that advice is really good, what you said. And here's what really stood out to me on that. Do not let them deep dive so much that they get lost. And that is a lot of times where both the teacher and the student, right, get lost in that. Just really quickly, because I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to let everybody who's watching know that there is a form in the chat. You're going to fill out that form. You're going to, it's in the chat, but we want to show that template right there. So let's go into that About Me poster template.
This one.
Yep, that's it. So I'm going to let you guys talk about this, but I just want to remind everybody, when you complete the form in the chat, you're going to get your certificate of attendance. You are going to get this template, and you're going to get all of the resources that we've shared with you today. So make sure you are clicking on that link and filling that out. But go ahead, tell us about this template. What are we going to do with this template?
So we made this a little more evergreen. Like the idea here is that you can actually go in and choose. Usually we have like some really great templates that are already inside of Adobe Express. So if I go into here and I go into explore and I want to go all about me, all right, I have all of these different ones. But if I want to just kind of like explore some of my very favorites, here we go. Here, I'm going to actually just go in here. I'm going to choose a poster. And I'm going to go under templates. I'm going to go back. All right. And if I go down, this is my favorite. I'm actually going to attach that inside right after we're finished. This is actually my very favorite. And maybe you've seen it before, which is not a bad thing because it's nice that you already know it. And this way you can try it out inside of the new Adobe Express. And so this one is my favorite. You can always go in and use any of the ones that you find and start from scratch if you want, but this is one of my favorites. So I can go in here and tell us a little bit about you. And this time I want you to really think about how you can turn this into something that was super kind of flat and make it a lot more dynamic. So a lot of you have used this one, but I'd love to see how they now revamp it with the new tools. And that's intentional. I would like to see you really try to make this totally different than what you remember originally.
That's a really great call to action, I will say, because I do know this template and I did create my own. And now you've challenged even me to go do this, which I will do. I'm going to do it.
Animations, you can turn it into something like, you can even AppSmash like within the product now, because you can even bring in a character inside of here. Like you see where I'm going with this? Like you have opportunities to like really turn this into something totally different. So I implore or challenge you, and that's why I think we'll add this link in there because they can use anyone they want, but this one in particular, I want to challenge people to like now, because this was January challenge of last year. Like this is the first ever challenge we ever did.
Yes.
Right. And by the way, like we now have like, you know, we have our monthly challenge right here in the product now. So if you need to check them out, they're there. But like that was the first one we ever did. So I want to challenge you guys to like remake it, like totally change it now.
Okay, I'm accepting the challenge. I hope if you are accepting the challenge in the chat, let us know that you accept the challenge, the Adobe challenge. We are over our time, which is a great problem to have, right? But I want to make sure that you both have time to just say some last words before we sign off for the day.
I'll just say that, I mean, I've just been reading the comments like with a silly grin on my face. This has been awesome. This community is so special. And I think these products are, I mean, Tanya, you said it perfectly. They're like peanut butter and jelly. I think they just like, they have the opportunity to enhance student learning and objectives in a really deep and meaningful way. And so we're just really excited about the opportunities here. And so, yeah, reach out with any questions. And we're so excited for the future.
My dog's here too, so very excited. No, I mean, definitely the same. We are always available. We're here to support you. I'm on Twitter at Tanya Avrith at adobe.com if you want to reach out to me there. We're really excited about this partnership and we look forward to seeing your challenge. Like tag me on Twitter if you share it. I really would love to see it as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I am going to tag you and you all tag both of us on Twitter so that we can see your creations and you can definitely ask questions over there as well. I just want to say thank you both for sharing the stage with me today and sharing the excitement about all of the updates. It is really exciting. And I think this is a really great opportunity for educators and students to bring that creativity in, to curate that creativity and start really using that design thinking and peer-to-peer feedback looping, which is so important for their future. So thank you to all of you who've joined us. I know some of you that are here have been to every single session today, and we want you to join tomorrow. We will start off tomorrow with Edpuzzle and Wakelet. You'll also hear from Microsoft and Wakelet, Canva and Wakelet, Book Creator and Wakelet, and for the end of the day, you will hear from Lumio and Wakelet. So make sure if you have not set set your schedule for tomorrow, do that. And just thank you both. Thank you to all of you. Make sure you're following all of us on our socials, right? We're on Instagram. I got tagged by Adobe on Instagram, so I have them over there. We're on Twitter. Where else are you? Adobe is everywhere, just like Wakelet, right?
Adobe's are they're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We have a really great page there. We have our Twitter, and of course, Adobe. Adobe has an awesome TikTok. Like, it's really good. So
well, I do not follow that, so I'm gonna go follow that.
Adobe Express has amazing socials. So we're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Okay, so all of you have a great evening. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining Adobe, and we will see you all again tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.